So ladies and gentlemen, last night I saw Avengers Endgame at 12 at midnight, 3-hour film. It was a struggle, but it wasn't in the sense of that it was incredible. And this is my spoiler-free review, so if you got tickets for Saturday or whatever, do not worry about watching this one. I've got your back. I'm just going to talk about it and review it, which is very hard to do without giving anything away. But let's get straight into this, guys, because I need to talk about this. We need to discuss this. What is up, Avengers? Welcome to a brand new video, I guess, and this is my spoiler-free review for Avengers Endgame. Now, I was thinking, how the effing hell am I going to do this review without giving anything away? I've got a few notes up, all of which contain no spoilers. I mean, actually, there is this one section which isn't spoilers, but I'm just going to put it there because I'm so afraid of triggering anyone. You'll know what I mean when I get to that part of the video. I'll give full disclosure away, but I'm probably already freaking some of you out because you're like, baby, you said this is a spoiler-free review. This is spoiler-free, the part I'm on about, but I just want to talk about it in terms of like, oh, does this add up? Does that add up with that? With a certain point in the film. Now, that may not make any sense to you right now, but don't worry, you guys know me. Even if you're new here, don't worry, I'm not going to spoil anything, but you guys know on the channel that I wouldn't ruin Endgame for you or anything like that. So, you know, I'm going to get straight into this review, guys. I know I don't do a whole bunch of Marvel content, but you guys do know that I strive to do variety content on this channel, so I had to talk about Endgame. Plus, I would only get loads and loads of comments by you guys to get my opinion on it. So, you know, this film was a lot. It really was a lot in terms of it's no-brainer. It's a 3-hour movie, but you know, that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Maybe for the general moviegoer, like their dad's taking their 15, 13, whatever-year-old son, and they might be kind of into it, but they're thinking, Jesus Christ, it's like 3 in the morning, or even if they're seeing it on another day, they might be like a bit like, this is too long. But if you're a fan of Marvel, the cinematic universe that has gone on pretty much, 11 years now since, you know, it all began, this won't seem like a chore to you. You know, I feel like it does need to sink in a bit more, which is why my spoiler review will probably be up like next week, probably Monday, because I'm going to be watching it again tonight. And, you know, and I only literally saw it like, well, yeah, it's like several hours ago. So yeah, I will be doing a spoiler review just to let you guys know. I mean, I'm pretty sure I will be, but I just need some more time for it to sink in to the point where I don't even know if I should be seeing it tonight. But you know, it's certainly a handy thing in terms of doing my spoiler review. But I do want to reiterate again, guys, if you don't want to know absolutely anything about this film, even though this is a spoiler-free review, I'm just putting this warning here because, you know, things that I may say, you may like perceive differently that might infer something happening in the film, but that's like, you know, OCD level spoiler protection. So, you know, I just wanted to put that out there. So I really did enjoy this. It was very long, but I feel like, as I've already said, it's deservingly so for the film that it is, you know, being 10 plus years of the films to sign off. And just to let everyone know, I did pee. I did a tactical pee just because I was scared of, I didn't even need it. That's what I mean. I didn't need it. This isn't a part of the film review, but I'm just saying, if you're worried about peeing, you've got a Coke or whatever and a load of popcorn that's making you thirsty, there are moments in the film where you get the vibe that, okay, I can probably go out now so I don't miss the second/third act where probably a lot of important shit's gonna go down. So if you get that feeling like me where you're kind of paranoid, like mega paranoid, you want to go for the precautionary piss, I recommend to do so, and you'll get the sense in the film when to go. But anyway, not everything in the film is perfect. But what I mean by that, guys, is not everything is perfect. I can't talk. Not everything is perfect. Everyone knows that. I mean, well, you should know that. Now, what I mean is that there are some things that people won't like, I'm sure, from certain characters or things they did with those certain characters in the film or the choices that those characters may have made. But then again, they do things with characters that are unexpected and really cool, providing, you know, callbacks to previous films, characters involved in this film that have been in previous films that you may have forgot about for the eagle-eyed Marvel fan. Even if you're a general moviegoer and you've seen a few of the MCU films, you'll think, oh man, that's pretty cool the way they did that. And it's like, oh yeah, like look at that. That's when they said that or something like that in a previous film. But then again, guys, this is after Infinity War, after Thanos freaking wiped 50% of all creatures from the universe. I shouldn't even have to explain that, but I really appreciated the moments between characters in this film, because, you know, there is a lot of that. There's a lot of, looking back in retrospect, or just not self-reflecting, I guess maybe a little bit of self-reflecting for a couple of characters, but just reflecting back on the Thanos snap, the emotional impact that this has on each of our great heroes. Like, we have heroes like Thor, freaking Captain America, Black Widow, and people, Iron Man, like that, but we can't forget how these people, as much as a pillar of strength and hope, or beacon of whatever you may view them as, even the people within the cinematic universe, like your average civilian, they do go through stuff. So, for example, the best thing I can liken it to is when Tony was suffering from a bit of PTSD after the whole thing happened in New York. There's moments like that you really get to sense how the characters feel, and that is awesome. Now, I'm not sure if any of you are expecting this, but this film is an action, and even to the point where I may be crazy for saying this, maybe I'm not, maybe it's because I haven't seen Infinity War in, like, believe it or not, a couple of months. I'm sorry I didn't do the whole Marvel preparation thing. It's not as, I feel like it's not as much action as Infinity War. And naturally there wouldn't be. It's like a 3-hour long movie, so there's a lot of developing the story to obviously reverse everything that Thanos has done. But obviously this is Endgame. So of course there's battles, and there's massive, this is my word for massive, comic book like battles, with so many freaking sweet moments. Why am I saying it this slow? Because I need to emphasize, in certain battles, I guess you could say, my God. I'm not just talking about, like, let's say Spider-Man flinging here and doing that. Oh, that's cool. I'm talking about, I can't say it, but there's stuff that I literally got a chill. You know when your body, from the tip of your head to the bottom of your toes, gets the freaking shivers, and that's when it's spiritually connected to you, like in a cool level that you didn't see coming because of whatever you just saw on screen. There are moments like that in, like, the third act of this film that I guess I need to stop talking about it, because I just will keep praising it and praising it and praising it. So just you wait for those moments. But going back to the action, and how there isn't like that throughout the film kind of thing, as maybe as some of you may think, because it's a comic book movie, I remember that, as well as that, this movie spends a lot of moments with characters that, isn't like Thor, for example, throwing Mjolnir every 2 freaking seconds at those creatures who just keep gnawing at your armor. It's not like that every freaking 10 minutes, which is a good thing, because you don't want that. That'd be way too much. But this leads me to kind of talk about the pacing of the film. Like, where is the action? Where is the calm moments? Where is the comedy-filled moments? Does it fluidly go at a certain pace throughout the film? And this is something I'm not mega sure where my mind is made up yet, which is why I'm delaying a spoiler video till next week, or why I didn't do half spoiler free and half spoiler in this video, just because I need to let it sink in. For example, there are films that you feel different about after some time has gone between it. For example, I love The Last Jedi, I saw it 4 times, but now you ask me now, I feel completely different about that movie. So, getting back to the point on hand, this film did feel like it was segregated into a couple of parts. And what I mean by that is not like, part A to the film, part B, but like this, intermittent reoccurring focus they had in terms of funny moments, and then serious-esque character moments, and then funny again, and then going back to like the serious conversational, like, let's figure out what's going on, or character moment between this character. And it kind of just felt like, to the point where it was kind of on both ends of the spectrum, to the extreme end almost, just because, watching serious character moments and then to the next portion being like a funny segment for 12 minutes or so, it just felt like, I'm not sure if that should have kept reoccurring, maybe like a couple of times in the film, and then you have a whole block of serious, and then maybe a bit of funny, but it did honestly keep going down like this. which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It might not even be an issue for people. I'm not saying it's an issue for me. I'm just saying I don't know where I land on, oh, really funny section where the jokes were funny. Don't get me wrong, they were funny. And then it's like, oh, going back to seriousness for a 15-minute block. And, you know, you get what I'm trying to say. And in terms of addressing the comedy, I do want to say that, don't get me wrong, this film was funny. 95% of the jokes did land. Like, I laughed 95% of the time. But I do think that there was a bit too much comedy in this film for being Endgame. Now, trust me, I'm not saying that from a standpoint of, oh, I want this to be a brooding, dark cinematic universe, and you're more of a DC guy than a Marvel guy. And trust me, I'm not like that. I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I really do. It may not seem like it because I can't cover everything on this channel as much as I want to change that soon. It did feel like for the film that this is, and especially the amount of serious moments it had in it, the comedy, it just felt like, did you really have to put that in there, even though that was funny? And there was the occasional joke that did land completely flat. I thought that, okay, I didn't laugh, and I noticed nobody else did, and that was definitely noticeable because the whole theater was packed, and people laughed their freaking asses off at the jokes that, you know, would make everyone laugh. But, you know, of course, there's a few hit and miss jokes, but as a whole, I felt like there was a bit too much of it in Endgame. But then again, I'm not saying you're going to feel that way. You may absolutely adore this. The one way I can put it is that, you know how Thor Ragnarok is complete comedy basically all the way through, but then you get some other films that are funny, obviously in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like every other film, but then have serious moments. I would say it was more towards the surprising end of Thor Ragnarok in Endgame rather than the balanced out element. Of course, there was serious balanced out elements. I'm overcomplicating this now, but I just would say it pushed the Thor Ragnarok level at times, which surprised me. And this also brings me to the point that the first like 20 plus 25 minutes, maybe half an hour of the film was quite surprisingly slow, but that's not a bad thing because obviously, like, it's post the snap, it's not like there's going to be a massive battle right away or anything like that, but it does feel slow, and you're thinking, okay, when's this going to kind of get the ball rolling? Because the ball isn't rolling at this point, it really isn't, but you're still paying attention because it's mother flipping Avengers Endgame. But don't worry, it does obviously launch its way out throughout the rest of the 2.5 freaking hours if it starts getting a bit more into it at the half an hour point. So guys, I am seeing it again. I'm seeing it again tonight, like roughly 18 something hours after I first saw it, maybe a little bit less, can't do the maths, and I can't decide if I need to see it again or not tonight. And what I'm trying to say in terms of that for you guys is that, I mean, it'll be handy for a spoiler review for me, as I mentioned earlier, but it's not absolutely necessary for you guys to see it again because it is a lot of movie. It's like 3 hours worth. You may want to see it again the next day because you might not be able to retain everything. That's what I feel like. You know, there's little mental blocks throughout the film that I just can't nail my head down on. But if you're watching this just as a general audience member, even if you're like obviously a bit more than that because you're watching this and you're a Marvel fan and you feel like, should I go see it again the next day? I would wait. I would actually wait maybe 48 hours or more before you see it again. Let it settle down. Now, interestingly enough, guys, I did come out of the movie theater hearing some bloke saying, oh, I've just been effing Last Jedi'd again. And I was like, really? And what I mean is, it did make me laugh. I was intrigued to know what that person had been let down by. Now, I didn't start a conversation with this bloke. We were just going up the escalators at the time. I was going to get off home. But it did make me think, what this person feels wrong to the point. You guys know what I mean by The Last Jedi. It split the fandom. I don't need to go into a whole video about that, whether you agree with it or not. Like, the comparison is, I wonder if it's just all from an expectation standpoint, which you could compare to The Last Jedi, because if, for example, some people aren't rewarded by seeing Luke Skywalker do a massive thing that they thought would happen instead of that force projection, people are going to rage because they went into that film with expectations. So what I'm trying to say is, same thing with Infinity War maybe, because this is such a big movie, ending and wrapping up everything. It's freaking Endgame, of course. Maybe there's a bit of a risk for some people with heavy expectations to go in there and thus be maybe underwhelmed, disappointed, or feel Last Jedi'd again, for example. Now, I don't think it's going to be a risk on the level of The Last Jedi, for example, but I'm just saying there's no doubt people are going to go into this with massive expectations. And I'm not saying this movie falls low on expectations at at all. I'm just saying that some people's expectations may be so high, they may think some characters may live, some characters may die that they wanted to, or a different way, and then those kind of people come out of it feeling wronged or slighted or whatever. So I think there is a presence of that for some people. Now this next bit I'm going to talk about is the part I warned about at the beginning of my video. Now seriously, I wouldn't even call this spoilers, but I'm just saying this because I don't want to trigger people. I'm being super sensitive and treading very lightly around that. But this is stuff that has been speculated upon, and everyone is, you know, basically guessed right in terms of how, or the methodical approach that the Avengers are gonna use to try and fix everything. So if you do not want to know anything, I'll put a timestamp on the screen to the point where you can skip to. But as I said, trust me, you won't be annoyed hearing what I'm about to say, but I respect it. You know, that's why the timestamp is there if you do not want to hear this. It's just, I want to talk about it from a non-spoilery sense of, you know, does this kind of add up and stuff like that. You'll get what I mean, but here we go. So, time manipulation, I guess you would say, is in this film. Obviously, that is what everyone thought, one way or another. Somehow they're going to use time to kind of go about fixing things. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I wanted to talk about it in the spoiler-free reviews, because I'm not sure if it all like adds up. And it kind of like, maybe it's just because I review a few TV shows that involve time travel, like The Flash and stuff, and there are often a lot of plot holes with it. And I did get that like itching burn in my head saying, oh, yeah, but does that really like add up? Because this movie, there's events that happen in the movie and it's a bit mind-boggling. Like, they do give you some explanations that they bring it off as, oh yeah, that's how this works. That's how time works if you go about it this way. But they're basically kind of brushing it off, and I'm really intrigued to see this movie again in just terms of trying to wrap my head around the concept that they've used for the time manipulation, if you will. You know, because in those moments I was truly like, wait, but does it add up? And there's also certain things in this movie that happen because of the time manipulation, for example, that makes you think about, but what about the thing that you could call back to with that certain thing? Like, does this mean that this is a new established thing? I don't know. You'll know what I mean if you've seen this film because of the like conclusion of the time manipulation. But I'm just intrigued to that. Maybe there's gonna be a whole video about this. Maybe I can make a whole video about, does everything after Endgame with the time manipulation kind of add up? I don't know, but I think there must be a couple of holes, but that's only for like the I don't know, the people like us who like to poke a couple of holes in it. But there's nothing wrong with that, because when you introduce time stuff in your story, you should be ready for a goddamn good kind of made up explanation for it. But you know, I guess you guys, maybe some of you are coming back to this moment and you didn't want to even be remotely, even mildly spoiled there. Not that I even think that is a spoiler, because you've 100% heard what I just spoke about before you even saw the movie. But, you know, wrapping this movie up, guys, I guess in a conclusion, it is a definitive ending for the past 10 or 11 years. Iron Man came out 2008, right? So 11 years of Marvel films. Absolute satisfying conclusion to it all. I was very satisfied. It was a great movie. Now, does it leave stuff open for the future? It does. It does give you like a couple of teasers, but do not go into it thinking there's going to be a whole bag of teasers. Like, okay, so after this phase, after Endgame, they're going to be doing that. This is going to be happening with those characters. Oh, and there's this like character who's been maybe set up as a villain for the next. There's nothing like that. But you know, you are complete. It feels like you've just finished you know, a set of books in a series, and now there's going to be a new phase, quite literally. And you're thinking, oh, this spin-off that the writer's now going on to next is going to involve a few of the same characters, and, you know, I'm ready for the next journey, because the first freaking 10, 11 years of this book series, but in this case, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been amazing. You know, so I am, bottom line, wholeheartedly satisfied. Of course, I might feel a bit differently by Monday with some things, but check out my spoiler review next week, as I said, around Monday. Did I cry during this film? Yes, I did. For obvious reasons, I'm not going to get into that, you know, I definitely can't get into that, you know, with certain tragic things happening, let's say. I'm not going to say if this applies to a certain character or multiple characters, but, you know, I heard a few sniffs in the movie theater, and I'm sure people were trying to mask it. I literally just put this hood up like this so people don't see me left or right when the tears rolling down my face. But if you are like me, you know, you're an emotional person who gets easily triggered by films, you 100% gotta cry, unless you really can't cry in front of people. I'm not the kind of guy who goes, I try and like refrain it, but then the tears still like rolling down my face. But anyway, guys, that is my spoiler-free review for Avengers Endgame. Hope you enjoyed it. I know it was a bit of a long one. It's kind of hard talking about a movie without mentioning basically a single legitimate spoiler. But I would love to know your comments or your thoughts on this down in the comments below. If you are going to talk about spoilers, please, 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 please use a spoiler tag so people can go down to the spoiler section and engage in, comments without the fear of being spoiled. As I said, if you're going to do it, put spoiler at the bottom and then press a load of spaces or something until it says read more or something. Other than that, if you haven't seen this movie, comment what you're excited about for this movie, if you've got tickets for a couple of days time and you're really itching and waiting to see it. But that's everything, guys, so look out for my spoiler review. Hope you enjoyed this. Go see Endgame. I'm seeing it again, and that is everything. So like the video, guys. If you did enjoy it, subscribe if you're brand new for more videos like this, and I'll catch you all Avengers in the next video. Goodbye.